Hello guys, welcome to podcast 26 of Let's Revise MBBS, and today we are going to talk about fetal care and fetal surveillance. Okay, so let's first see about trisomy screening. So in the first trimester, around 11 to 14 weeks, we can do two tests. The one is we can do two screenings. First one is biochemical screening and the other one is biophysical screening. So in biochemical screening, we check two markers. The one is beta HCG and the other one is PAP-A. Okay, placenta associated plasma protein A. These are the two proteins which we check in the first trimester, two markers in biochemical screening. So in trisomy, if it is trisomy 21, then beta HCG level will be increased and the level of PAP-A will be decreased. Okay. I'll tell you the reasons for this later, why is beta HCG increased and why are the other markers decreased. But for now, remember, if it is trisomy 21, then beta HCG is high and PAP-A is low. Okay, this is about biochemical score. And in biophysical score, we check the knuckle translucency. So it is called NT scan and we do it by USG and it is done around 11 to 14 weeks. Okay. In this, there is a critical cutoff which is 3 mm, and if the knuckle translucency is more than 3 mm, then we should suspect trisomy 21 or Down syndrome. If this is positive, like if biochemical or biophysical test is positive, it's just a screening test. So if it is positive, we need to go for a confirmatory test. So the confirmatory test which we do here, after this screening tests come positive, is chorionic villus sampling along with karyotyping. So we'll get a confirmed idea whether it is trisomy 21 or not. So if this screening is positive, it means that there is 1 in 250 chance of the patient having Down syndrome. So even this chance is quite less. So we cannot just terminate the pregnancy if the screening tests are positive. We need to go for the confirmatory test, that is chorionic villus sampling and karyotyping. So this is about first trimester. Now let's talk about second trimester. We do trisomy screening in second trimester between 15 to 20 weeks. So here we use triple markers, three markers: beta HCG, alpha fetoprotein, and unconjugated estrogen. Okay, beta HCG as usual increases in Down syndrome, but alpha fetoprotein and unconjugated estrogen decreases. Okay, in trisomy 18 everything decreases. Beta HCG, AFP, and unconjugated estrogen all decrease in trisomy 18. But beta HCG remains high in trisomy 21. Okay, if this screening test is positive, again we go for confirmatory test, and here the confirmatory test is amniocentesis with karyotyping. Okay, so this is triple screening test. There is one more screening test which is quadruple screening test. Here we add inhibin A, which is extra. The three components of triple test are same: beta HCG, alpha fetoprotein, and unconjugated estrogen. Along with it, we also do inhibin A. So the sensitivity of quadruple test is more than that of triple test. Okay. One more screening test is there, which is NIPT, non-invasive prenatal test. So in this test, we take the maternal venous blood and we check for fetal DNA in maternal blood. Okay, it's done mostly after 10 weeks and it is very sensitive. Okay, but if it's not confirmatory test, it is a screening test. So if it is positive, we need to go for confirmatory test, right? And now let's see about the causes for rise in each of the levels, each of the marker levels. So first let's talk about AFP. So it's said that in Down syndrome, the yolk sac and all the fetal yolk sac is smaller. Okay, so if the yolk sac is smaller, the AFP which is produced by the yolk sac will be less. So in trisomy 21 in Down syndrome, alpha fetoprotein is less, it's decreased. Okay, it is also said that the fetal other parts, other hormones, other glands are smaller. So placenta and fetal liver or adrenal glands are smaller. So estrogen is produced with the help of DHEAS, which is produced from fetal adrenal gland. So if the fetal adrenal gland is smaller than normal, the level of estriol unconjugated will be lesser. So that's why unconjugated estriol is lower, is decreased in Down syndrome. Now for HCG, the reason for why HCG is higher is not very clear, but it is said that there is more transcription going on, and there is hyperactivation of the gene which produces beta HCG, and the half-life of beta HCG is also increased in Down syndrome. This is one possibility, and another is that the availability or the receptors for beta HCG are reduced. That's why beta HCG is available in the blood for a longer time. So this is the proposed cause for higher levels of HCG. Okay, right. So now this was about trisomy screening. Now let's talk about third trimester screening. Now there is a test which you must have heard of, which is NST, non-stress test. So there are 4 things which we check in non-stress test. The first one is heart rate, then acceleration, decelerations, and beat-to-beat variability. So these are the 4 things which we check. So heart rate normally should be between 110 to 160. Okay. Now acceleration. What is acceleration? The heartbeats should increase by 15 for at least 15 seconds, and it should be twice. This should happen twice in 20 to 40 minutes. So I'll repeat. Acceleration means the heartbeat should rise by 15 for 15 seconds twice in 20 minutes, in 20 to 40 minutes. Okay, so if this is happening, then it is called acceleration. So acceleration should be there. Acceleration is normal. If acceleration is not happening, then it's an abnormality. Okay, so first one was heart rate, the acceleration, then deceleration. There should be no deceleration. Deceleration is just similar to acceleration, but it should decrease. So in acceleration it was increasing by 15 beats for 15 seconds. In deceleration it decreases by 15 beats for 15 seconds. So deceleration is abnormal. Okay, and beat to beat variability. So between every beat there can be a variability of 5 to 25 beats. So that's okay, and beat to beat variability should be present. Okay, if it is not present, the beat to beat variability is 0 or less than 5, then that indicates an abnormality, or the fetus is in stress, okay, in distress. So these are the 4 components which we check in NST, and if everything is normal, then we call it reactive NST. And if anything is abnormal, like if there is no acceleration or there is deceleration, then we call it non-reactive NST. Okay. Now there is one more thing, which is cardiotocography. So as the name suggests, cardio is heart and toco is uterus. So it measures the relation of uterine contraction to the fetal heart rate. Okay, so normally when uterus contracts, there will be decrease in fetal heart rate. Okay, why? Because the blood supply is decreased because of contractions, and fetus may go into distress, but only for that duration of time for which the uterus is contracting. So deceleration may happen. So now there are 3 types of deceleration: early deceleration, late deceleration, and variable deceleration. So early deceleration means when the uterus is contracting, at the same time the heart rate is decreasing, and when the contraction decreases or when the contraction stops, the heart rate comes back to normal. This is early deceleration, which is normal and which can happen in all normal fetuses. So early deceleration is normal. But in late deceleration, it is that the uterus contracts, okay, and when the contraction stops, then the heart rate starts falling down. So it is late. The decrease in heart rate or the deceleration happens after the contraction is over. So that is not normal. So it can suggest that there is uteroplacental insufficiency or preeclampsia or IUGR. So late deceleration can suggest these findings. Okay, and variable deceleration means that the decrease in heart rate and the amount of decrease and the timing is pathological. Like, it's not only after the uterus has contracted. It can happen even if the uterus is not contracting, and every time the amount of deceleration which is happening, the amount of fall which is happening can be variable. So that is variable deceleration. It's due to cord compression or cord prolapse or cord around neck. So both late and variable deceleration are abnormal, okay, and early deceleration is normal. So if the patient is having early deceleration or late deceleration, but it's not constant, then we can go for normal vaginal delivery. But if it is persistent late deceleration or variable deceleration, then we need to go for C-section. Okay, right. Now one more scoring system is there, which is biophysical score. Okay, now here again there are two types: modified biophysical score and normal biophysical score. So modified biophysical score is like a screening test. So first we do modified biophysical score. If that is abnormal, then we do the complete biophysical score. So in modified biophysical score, there are two things which we check. First one is NST, which we have already talked about, and the other one is amniotic fluid pockets, the single largest pocket. Okay, why have we chosen this two? Because NST gives us idea about acute condition, acute state of the fetus, and amniotic fluid pockets give us the idea about the chronic condition. That's why if we consider just these two, we can have an idea about the acute state as well as chronic state of the fetus. Okay, now single deepest pocket, we have talked about this single deepest pocket. So if it is between 2 to 8, it is normal. 2 to 8 centimeter, it is normal. Less than 2 and more than 8 is abnormal. Okay, and NST also we have talked about NST. So if these two are abnormal, then we need to go for the biophysical score, which is also known as Manning score. So there are 5 components. So these two components are there, NST and amniotic fluid pocket, and the other 3 are related to tone and movement. So the third one is tone of the fetus, then the gross movements and the breathing movements. Okay, so these are total 5 criteria which we use for biophysical score. So and each criteria has 2 points. So maximum points we can give is 10. Okay, so if the score is 8 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, then that is normal. We just need to continue the pregnancy. We do not need to terminate or do not need to intervene. If the score is 6 by 10, okay, then we need to recheck the biophysical scoring. Okay, and then check for whether the amniotic fluid pocket is normal or it is less, right? If it is less than normal, if it's less than 2, then we need to deliver the baby at or after 37 weeks. Okay, if the baby is already of 37 weeks, then we need to deliver. But if he or she is of less than 37 weeks, then we repeat the biophysical scoring and we again check the score. If the score is more than 6, then we continue the screening and continue the pregnancy. If it goes less than 6, then we need to terminate. So we have seen 8 by 10 and 10 by 10 is normal. 6 by 10 is slightly abnormal, so we need to reassess the patient. And if it is 0, 2 or 4 out of 10, then straight away terminate the pregnancy. Okay. So last part is the Doppler. So Doppler is mainly used to assess the blood flow, and most importantly is the diastolic flow. So and Doppler can also be used to predict preeclampsia. Okay, so if the diastolic flow is present, then we continue the pregnancy. But if the diastolic flow is absent, then we need to give steroids to the patient and immediately terminate the pregnancy at 34 weeks. Do not wait. And if the diastolic flow is reversed, then we don't have any time. We need to do emergency LSCS. Okay, so Doppler, 3 findings: normal diastolic flow, continue the pregnancy; absent diastolic flow, give steroid and terminate at 34 weeks; reverse diastolic flow, emergency LSCS. Okay, so we have talked about trisomy screening in first trimester, second trimester. We talked about double, triple and quadruple screening test. Then we talked about the normal fetal care, about the NST, cardiotocography and modified biophysical scoring, and then Doppler. Right? So that's all for today's podcast. See you in the next podcast. Till then, enjoy and keep studying. Bye bye.